Good day, everyone, and welcome to New Answers Podcast. We are a community of everyday people that are sharing solutions to life's daily challenges. And based on our personal experience, we've been, for the past few weeks, I guess, talking on from the standpoint of spirituality. We're calling it nurturing spirituality. We see that as a means of finding solutions to those challenges by connecting to the divine invisible, the universe, as I call it, God, if I call it. And in that connection, we get guidance on how we should proceed with our lives. And I am joined in this conversation um, by Tiffany Lee. Hi, Tiffany.
Hello. Thank you for having me back.
Absolutely. I mean, you're like co-hosting with me with
All
this spirituality.
right.
And, we've been kind of making a decision about what our topic should be today. And I don't know, we decided that it's not like we're trying to ignore what's going on in the world. I mean, the reason we're here is we're trying to, uh, that was the other topic I was going to say is to talk about changing the subtitle of our talks from nurturing spirituality to what you said last year, bringing spirituality out of the closet.
Oh, right. Yeah. I was like, what do we say? Oh, coming out of the closet with
Coming
spirit.
out of the closet with spirituality. Because
Yeah.
if we can tap into that, and I think we all have that ability, and we have been talking in the past, in our past conversations and recordings, showing demonstrations of, uh, examples of how we have these spiritual um, experiences.
Right.
And tap into that connection with the divine invisible, where we get guidance that is heart centered, right? That is about treating people in a humane way. Not only can we find solutions to our personal problems, but we can look at how we can make some changes, positive changes, affirmative changes in the world.
Globally. Yes.
Yes, I mean, and so we've been kind of skirting around what's going on in the world and trying to bring people forward who are like-minded in spirituality and making those direct connections to the divine invisible. But today, I think we want to go directly to that about what's going on in the world. And before we started recording, Tiffany came up with the idea of us sharing our experiences because we each participated in what was called the No Kings protest rallies that happened around, in LA, which is the area that we're in, but all around the country, and I think maybe even all around the world, right?
It did. There was a movement around the world. People were protesting no kings. And I think that okay, so if you think about spirituality and being that it's energy and we're all connected, we're all one, um, the energy of what's happening in America is definitely spreading, around the world. And I was thinking about that today was like they can't in the past, like during Hitler days or slavery, you had to visit a country to know what was going on. Now we have social media. And so um the visibility of everything happening around the world, yeah, there's still some filtering, but you can't fully hide it, and energetically, especially with the young people, they're they're helping it spread around the world and other countries which I'm seeing like in China, other countries that have dictators, they're beginning to protest too. So that's actually really hopeful if you really think about it. Like, okay, yes, this is a dark time. We've been through this world's been through dark times before, But what I feel like I'm seeing is, and doing my studies historically, I do see that there are spiritual awakenings in mass abundance during these dark times. So it kind of puts like a balance. Thank goodness for that, right? And that is I think that's God looking out for us, really, so it doesn't tilt too far,
Yeah.
you know. And if you really think about it, then we have seasons of really dark times, but they always end, you know. So as far as spirituality, I'd say the last 20, some people say, yeah, the last 20 years, but especially the last 10 years, we've really had a massive awakening. So many people are awakening to their spirituality and their gifts and stuff like that. And like right in time though, right? Because then Trump comes in office and we have these wars happening, and the ugliness of the prison camps and the immigration.
Yeah. The snatching up of people without due process,
Right.
from they started out talking about, oh, we're only going to, deal with
Go after criminals.
violent criminals and, those that are bringing this awfulness to our country. But they're snatching up other people going to their jobs, going to their
To their jobs.
going to their places of worship
Hmm.
and snatching them out of going to courthouses when they're being called in for hearings around their immigration status. They're picking them up from those. And so when they're being called to these hearings, they're going through the process as it exists now. So they're doing what they're supposed to do. But then ICE shows up and snatches them from the courthouse when they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and deporting them or taking them to detention centers, or they call them,
Right.
it's like concentration camps to me.
They're concentration camps because if we're deporting them back to their land, why are they not deporting them back to where they came from? Why are they sticking them in prison camps,
Exactly.
concentration camps? That's where it's just dark. It makes no sense. And if they were going to just deport violent criminals, they would have gotten them all by now. Because statistically, if you looked at the FBI files, there's not that many violent criminal immigrants, not from Mexico. So, yeah, so it was all based on hate, the energy of hate.
Absolutely. And they're taking students out of college campuses
Yeah,
who spoke against, you know, that's freedom of speech, right? But
right,
spoke against this regime. And so they were snatching them up and trying to deport them, but they're in detention places probably now, if they haven't already been deported back to their home country. And some of them, I heard it, they're not even going to their home country, they're going to a country where they're being uh,
yeah. That's
imprisoned.
what I said. They're not sending them.
That's
In
it.
the beginning, they sent some back to their country, to Mexico, whatever, but they're not now. They're just finding
Yeah.
prison camps to put them in.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And now,
So how does this tie
yeah,
to to spirituality? Um and my answer to that is everything is spiritual, because there's the light and the dark. So we're seeing the dark coming out of the shadows. Like in America, there's now racism's coming back out of the shadows. It had to go in for a while. And then Trump got in office and he's making it okay for racism. And it's pure racism, the way they're going after the immigrants. You can't deny it, even though some people still do.
yeah, it's pure racism because they're just these people who are masked, probably
Hmm.
people who wouldn't mask themselves during the height of COVID, but now they're,
Right. That's the part that's funny, but now they're masked,
yeah,
covered up. Yeah.
and some of them have no identification on them.
None.
They don't say that it's ICE, but they're in these fatigues and they're, kind of uh, whatever the costume is that they're
Right. Heavily armed too.
and yeah,
Heavily armed.
those are,
So technically, if a masked man tried to grab me off the street, I'd have a right to fight back. But
I have
because they're saying their ICE with no warrants, no ID,
no idea.
nothing, grabbing people, they're fighting, but then they have a lot of people with them and they have weapons.
Right.
So And they're getting away with this.
And,
That's the insane part. Like
and
they're getting away with it.
some people are showing them that they have their, their passport or whatever the identification, and some of those are being taken away.
Mhm.
Those identification materials are taken away, and they don't see them again. And then those folks that they have confiscated, whatever, uh, picked up, are taken
Right.
to these detention centers, and nobody knows where they are. Their family can't contact them. Their lawyers can't contact them. I've heard even elected representatives who want to go in and visit those detention centers aren't allowed to go in. Or, I guess the latest thing is they are allowed, but they need 72 hours notice before you didn't.
Right. Why? Why?
It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
why suddenly do you have to have a 72-hour notice to get to these detention centers, even if you are an elected representative who's there to visit with your constituent? I mean, what is going on?
Right. Yeah. It's a lot of darkness going on.
And this series of conversations was to help bring out the light.
Right.
Leave the
So let's talk about the light because we both got to experience the light for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's what we want to talk about. Because I could get muddled up in and about what I'm seeing because it's just so disgusting to me.
Really hard. It's
And
really hard to digest.
time period that I've been on this earth that I would ever see a country that's supposed to be a democracy behave in this way, against its residents, against people who are living here. I mean, people come here because of the freedoms that this country offers, and then they're getting taken up and treated as if they are. I mean, it's just inhumane to me. But yeah, so the light.
Yeah. The light. Speaking of, it's interesting that you said inhumane because that was a conversation I was having with someone when he was like, let's not talk political. I was like, I'm not talking political. I'm talking soul or no soul. I'm talking humane or immoral. I was like, that's all. I'm not talking political. And the line has to be drawn. And it's a huge line right now. Like the way they're treating people is inhumane. So, um, and it can seem very hopeless, but our experience with going to the protest, I'll talk about mine first. When I went and I was nervous, I was like, are MAGA people going to show up? Will it get violent? I'm out here in Lancaster. I wasn't expecting it to be a lot because there are a lot of MAGA supporters out here. Um, but I went by myself. I didn't have anyone to go with me. I'd asked my choir, and everyone's like, no, and be careful. So I was like, I'm going to go because I come from that heritage of we fight for what's right, come from the King heritage and I come from Black Panther heritage. It's in my blood. So I will tell you the moment I got out the car, when I saw other people getting out of the car at the same time, there was like eye contact. And I would say it was soul to soul contact. Nothing much said, just like eye contact, we know why we're here. And then as I'm walking to where the protest started with more people coming, energetically, I felt safe. I felt I felt the energy of we're here to protect because that's the intention of the protest, right? And I felt that energy of we're here to protect. And I felt like there was so much love. It wasn't hateful energy at all. It was the love I felt in the middle of that brought me to tears.
Mm,
I was swallowing back and I was just like, I want to feel this all the time. You know what I mean? I was like, I want to be right in the middle of this. I want to feel it all the time. It was so beautiful and everyone was so friendly and it was such a great unity experience, you know,
yeah.
people coming around with drinks and snacks for everyone. Someone even showed up with sunblock, which I thought was hilarious.
Okay.
Because you know what? It's for most protests throughout the history of America, it's going to be African Americans protesting, right? We did most of the protesting
Yeah.
for all the rights that we have that as far as minorities and women do. So it's a lot of African Americans. Well, these protests are white people, are majority Caucasian. So I thought it was very interesting that people were showing up with sunblock. I thought that was so thoughtful. It cracked me up.
Yeah, so my experience was similar to yours, and we were in two different locations. So I was more in the San Fernando Valley. Um, for anybody who's in the area and is familiar with the Los Angeles area, I was at Ventura Boulevard and Laurel Canyon. And I didn't know what to expect. In preparation for this, I was really commending the organizers because they were preparing us for, not knowing what we were going to face. They were preparing us for any worst case scenarios. So,
Mhm.
and I went to a couple of trainings, just to kind of get myself ready. So they talk about, you know, if your phone gets confiscated, or not even if your phone gets confiscated, you should write the phone number of your nearest relative on your arm because we don't remember phone numbers anymore. It's all programmed into our cell phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Write it on your arm with a permanent marker so that you can, when you get a chance to call them, you can, you have the number ready, available to call you. They also talked about even if you don't get your phone confiscated, that you can use this signal, use an app, place this app on your phone that will, I guess, allow you to, in case your phone gets blocked, so that you can't communicate with anybody, with taking pictures or whatever and spreading the word, that you can use this app that will bypass that and be able to get your signal out. I mean, and then they talked about all the things that you need to bring with you if you're on medicine, and if you get if you get confronted by ICE or some other law enforcement, how you're supposed to behave. So it got to be, I was like a little intimidated, and I thought, should I be doing this? I decided, okay, I'm gonna do it because, like you said, it's like in your blood. I mean, I remember back in the day. I think I was a teenager, back in like a young teenager, like 12, 13, when civil rights protests and things were going on. But I always looked to my uh, the people who raised me, thinking, what are you all doing? Aren't you supposed to be out there protesting? But they were like,
Right.
oh, work. We got to go to work anyway. But somehow it's always been in, social justice has always been in my system. And so I felt on behalf of my grandchildren, who's, I don't know what the world is going to be for them if I don't go out here and at least show some resistance to what I'm seeing going on. So I went, and finding parking and all that, and I had my signs and I had my flag, my American flag and everything. And on the way, but first of all, people were helping you find parking and be
Hmm.
accommodating about that. And then we kind of walked together to the gathering, which was at an intersection, as I mentioned the street names. And it was not a like not in front of a federal building or anything, but it was like on the four corners of that intersection, which was a pretty well-traveled commercial area. But we stayed on the sidewalk, didn't block traffic, didn't interfere with the businesses that were surrounding the area. But we stayed on the sidewalk with our signs and chanting, but everybody, it was so warm and welcoming and supportive. And I felt really good because prior to that, I mean, I felt like, I'm with my people. Because prior to that, all I was doing was sitting home yelling at the television. But he
Right.
had the chance to come out and be with people who had the same sensibilities as I, and we shared that moment together. And we were, I went by myself too. I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know. I had friends who were going, but they were going to different locations. Uh,
Right.
so I ended up going on my own.
By yourself. Yeah.
And it turns out my neighbor across the courtyard from me I saw her there. It was so funny because I thought I should have asked her if she was going. I didn't know, we didn't know each other was going to be there. But I saw her and I said, "Hey," and we talked. But I met new people. I met new people as well, and we were talking about the things. But like you said, the atmosphere was so full of unity and harmony and warmth and friendship and support. I think we all
Yeah,
felt good about being gathered together rather than isolated on our couches at home yelling at the television.
right.
And there were people there, like you said, with uh, passing out water, free had water bottles with cool water because it was a hot day. It was a sunny day. I oh, and there were people who were making accommodations for folks because there were people in wheelchairs,
Yeah.
from wheelchairs to families with babies and strollers, and
Mhm.
just traveling across each of the four intersections, again without um, disturbing the traffic at all. But we
Right.
from one corner to the next, and we were making chants and that kind of thing. And so there was multiple age ranges. There were majority white,
Hmm.
there were black, there were Latino, there were Asian, there were folks with pride flags. So the
Yeah,
LGBT, yeah,
everything. It was when I was growing up, there was a cartoon that used to call America the melting pot. And when I was there, that's what I thought. I was like, this is the America that's supposed to be. Like everyone was there in unison. It was a unity. It was every race, everything, and they were there melting pot. Like it was beautiful. It was just a really beautiful example of love.
yes,
So that's the energy of love, you know what I mean, coming through in unity.
yes. And the light, like we were talking, that light was there. It's like, yes, these are all
Yeah.
people. And I'm bad at estimating crowds. I think it started around 11. I probably got there like quarter to 11 or something like that. But there must have been, and I started leaving around, I think I got to my car around 1:30, or maybe it was
Hmm.
even that. But there must have been at least 3,000, maybe 5,000 people that
Yeah.
had occupied those four corners of that intersection through that time period.
Yeah, I'm sure. And the surprising part is out here where it is more of a conservative Trump area. They expected I met the organizer while I was there, and she said they really only expected they only had 500 RSVPs, and she's like that she's pretty sure that they're up to 2,000
Yes,
that came out, and it was like it was by the mall, and it was a block long of people on both sides, and you know what I love too? The fire department showed up in support, and I noticed that they did that in downtown LA too that weekend. It was on TV, and then they did it here too. There was a couple fire trucks that came by, in support of because I mean I always love firemen actually, but like I sell real estate. When I would go to a fire department house, they're always like, "Come on in, have something to eat," like come, take a picture in the truck, and they're always so friendly anyway. And I think that firemen are an example of the light because it's literally a job to save people.
that's right.
Like
Yeah.
it's not it's really the energy when you go into a fire department compared to a police department because um me and my partner went into we were hitting fire departments for a while, then we decided to hit a police department because they have special loans. Don't mean to get into real estate, but the energy in the police department was very different compared to a fire department, so we only did that once at the police department, and we're like, it's our favorite hangout going to a fire department anyway. Yes, I do think, and a lot of my family are firemen. I do think because of what they do, it has to be a calling to risk your life
That's
for
true.
others every day in that sense of the way. It's not a power thing. I think that's the difference. I think that police or military,
Yeah.
they're risking their lives, but it's a power thing. It's Firemen don't have that same ego or power thing. It's more like we're just risking our lives because we care about people.
It's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
that distinction, but I think you're absolutely right. It's a whole
I
different.
know. It's like it just came to me because I was like, well, they're both, risking their lives, but yeah,
So during that whole time, I never saw any evidence of law enforcement of any kind, whether it was
mm,
certainly LAPD, because I think they had announced they weren't participating in any of the raids or whatever, only to make sure that people were safe. With
right.
there was no police presence of any kind. LAPD, sheriffs, ICE, the military, the National Guard, none of that. Until like I think it was like the last half hour that I was there, I saw a police helicopter hovering over us. And then I think there was another helicopter that came after that, but I think it was a news uh, helicopter. But there was
Yeah,
no law enforcement at all. And I thought, oh,
yeah,
okay.
same. We didn't have any law enforcement at all. We didn't have any issue. One truck drove by and kind of towards the end shot some BBs at people. And so we figured a MAGA, but
Yeah,
that was really it. It was very peaceful. It was fun. It was like there were some band members that came and like they were playing drums and stuff like that.
yeah,
And um and then people starting chants, but it was just, you know, I don't know how much. I think what's different about this administration is it's not a democracy right now. It's a dictatorship. It's fascism. So, and they know that the majority of people do not like them anymore, or that they betrayed and they lied to their followers. It doesn't matter because to them it doesn't matter because ultimately they're not trying to even give us a chance to have an election. They're in it for their purpose.
that's right.
But and this is just coming to me, but the dark never wins long. It shows its ugly head. It never wins long, and it's going to have a shorter time frame this season than it has in other times. Um,
That's encouraging.
yeah,
That's what I was hoping for. That's why we wanted to do this, have these conversations is to shorten that time period of the darkness so that the light
right,
shows through, that all of us who, are of the same mindset about love and peace and harmony and treating people with dignity and respect and humanely are outnumber the darkness. And
right. Like,
opportunities, coming up. I know, these recordings are being seen at different times, but for those of you who want to show your humanity and come out in support of holding on to our democracy, I know there's a vigil coming up on July 17th, and it's going to be taking place at different locations around at least the LA area. It may be even around the country because I think it's the same organizers that organized the No Kings uh,
yeah, I think it's part of that again. Yeah,
are organizing this.
yeah.
So to your sources, Google, I don't know, Indivisible or ACLU or whoever else the organizers. I can't remember who the other organizers were with the No Kings. And maybe even just Google prayer vigil, July 17th, and see what comes up near where you are.
I'm excited. I mean, I'm excited to be in that love, unity, energy again. I'm definitely going to go. I was even thinking about, okay, when we win this, how do we grow that energy to be like the natural energy as opposed to the natural energy being fear? Like this world currently is run on fear. You know, I took, marketing classes in college,
Mm.
and they said the number one way to sell something is to create a need or a fear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or a desire, and that desire has to show like, well, if you don't have this, you're gonna be less desirable, you know. Um, so that's what this world is based on in every way, even when we don't realize it. But when we ascend to a higher energy, a heart energy,
Mm.
that's what I feel is happening when we are at those protests where there's just love. It's looking out for one another. It's like Jesus said, you know, the best way to connect with God is to love your neighbor, and so everyone's a neighbor there and you're loving each other and you're there in union to like protect each other. And that energy felt so good. I rode on that energy for days. I was like, that was, you know what I mean? So there was someone at the center, the spiritual center this weekend that said she thought that there was supposed to be a protest on July 4th. And she went to the corner. She's like, there was no one there. And I just really feel like I need something like that. And I was telling her about it, the energy I felt at the other protest. She's like, yes, that's what I need. I'm going bonkers, just sitting at home. I was like, I will let you know.
Yes. I heard about there being something on the July 4th too, but then I mean, it was just a
Hmm.
across really quickly, and then I didn't see any more, and nobody else talked about it. But they are talking about trying to, build up the participation in this rally coming up, or this vigil coming up July 17th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I heard about it first on the 4th, and then I heard the 17th. I think it like actually they may have thought like maybe, and then decided to change it,
Yeah.
which is probably smart because I do feel a lot of people didn't, a lot of my friends, all of my friends
Hmm.
didn't celebrate July 4th.
Yeah.
We all talked and we're just like, why are we celebrating July 4th? The Trump administration or his cabinet, they actually opened up that alligator Alcatraz. So it was just so dark. It was just such a on July 4th. And I think with their first,
Yeah.
I don't even want to call them prisoners because they're not, 90% of the people are not criminals. They're
No.
regular, everyday people working, and they're not just men, they're getting women and children, and it's just a really ugly, dark thing that's happening to these poor people.
Yeah. It's like the Nazi Germany. It's like the internment camps of the Japanese Americans before World War, the start of World War II. I mean, it's the same thing. They're grabbing up everybody. It doesn't, women, children, elderly, anybody
Yeah,
who
exactly.
meets a certain, what is it, what is it that they're profiling people.
Profiling people. Yeah. So we have to be in the light, you know. I think, I think when we're going to have to continue this because now I'm feeling the need to discuss my downloads I got last year regarding New Earth and Old Earth, basically, or like our ascension to New Earth. My dog is barking right now because people are coming to the door.
Oh,
So sorry about that. But the really important message I got from it, I'm just beginning to understand, was when you see the chaos, look towards the light. So what we did when we talked about the light is the love during the protest, that what we felt. We need to focus more on that so we can spread the energy of love more because you can't do it with hate. Like hate can't take out hate. I mean, you know what I mean? You have to take out hate with love.
yes, yes. Okay, so that would be a conversation for next time, for sure.
For sure. Right.
Okay, folks, look for those vigils that are going to take place. I think they're calling it the Good Trouble Day, and that's what.
Oh,
So this is
that's based on what's his face, right? What
on
was his name?
John. Oh my,
Lewis.
John Lewis.
John Lewis? Yeah.
John
He's
Lewis,
in some good trouble.
Good Trouble Day, July
Love
7th.
it.
Look for it, folks, so that we can bring the light to
Yes.
all darkness. So until next time, I'm Gwen Flynn,
I'm Tiffany Lee.
and we'll see you next time.